Viewer discretion is advised. Your fave will be criticized.
That's Chris.
That's Shan.
We are CCTV, the nonstop pop show.
And join us for a round of Is It Boppin' for the biggest K-pop releases of December 2022.
Looking for an awesome global pop music podcast? Well, look no further. Chris and I have the inside scoop with extensive experience from performing on stage to working at record labels. So you can also join us on Patreon at patreon.com/cctvpops and become a part of our amazing crew. And it includes wonderful crew members like Lisette, Lily, Emily, Kevin, and Juliette. Woohoo! So make sure to click that subscribe button or follow button and let's explore the world of pop music together.
Yes. And thanks to all of you who voted in the polls on Patreon and across our socials, because your input helped us decide on the songs for this episode. And if you want to join in and have a say in future song selections, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment with your picks. All right, so this episode we'll be discussing some of the top K-pop releases from December 2022. Are they bops or flops? Let's find out.
Welcome to Is It Boppin'? Here we discuss the songs and discuss the production, lyrics, and videos, and everything in between. So let's find out, do we have bops or flops? Up first is NCT DREAM with Candy. This is a cover of the 1996 hit Candy by K-pop boyband H.O.T., the first K-pop boyband, actually. Wow, when you think about it, it's crazy. And this song was written by Jang Yong-jin and produced by Kenzie. All right, so Chris, I'll let you kick us off. What do you think about this song?
Yes. Well, so I didn't really know K-pop in the mid-90s, but I know this song is a classic and is one of the biggest hits of the time. So this just goes along. You know, we've been saying the whole 90s nostalgia thing is real. Like, all these old artists are coming back. Like, the sound is going back to the 90s sound. So this is great timing, and it's SM Entertainment. So use the masters and the publishing that you already own, right? So it's smart as a business decision. And it's interesting because this has actually now become a huge hit for NCT DREAM. It's broken like records for them, I believe.
Wow.
So good for them. But yeah, I enjoyed this for what it is. And I appreciate that they stayed quite faithful to the original, because sometimes with these covers, like even with the aespa one, like they did remove a lot of the elements from the original and did change a lot of the feel of it. But this one was a little more faithful compared to that. It does have a slightly more hip-hoppy feel, which makes sense for NCT. And just more depth, of course, within the production. And the drums aren't as the drums are really intense in the original one. So this one's like a little more toned down and just a little more dynamic. But you know, the song is like signature K-pop cheese. And so they did a good job of keeping it quite cute and young, you know, which the NCT DREAM unit, that's kind of what they are, right? But they did execute it well. It does still sound very sweet and well-rounded, but it's not overly cheesy, which I appreciate. And I think that has helped also with the rappers, because they just naturally have rougher textures. They're not doing it as, like, obviously there's a rap in the original version, but they're doing it a little harder. And so yeah, I think the whole execution was really well done. It was not cringeworthy, which it very easily could have been. And also have to give a shout out because Haechan gets some nice higher harmony moments in the second verse. And we always scream for harmonies and like unison singing in K-pop. So more of that would be great.
Oh, I think because it's a remake, they didn't deviate from the original too much, which I'm really glad, because the whole genre bending in K-pop has lost its novelty. And most importantly, I think it's lost its cohesion with the genre bending. So I'm like really pleased with the simple breakdown moments like in the pre or even in the bridge. Like it just sounds natural, or at least it sounds natural and more organic. Like we have sounds that are already present, we either take away or add, which I appreciate, you know, and not because it's just like a 90s influence. So I think it's interesting that, like, thinking about the 90s version, because the 90s version, I actually did like a cute little dance cover a while back, not a full official one, but like something from like Instagram stories, of the original, because I didn't think of the new one when it came out. And I think the original actually sampled Dreamhouse's Stay, which actually sampled the Four Seasons. Won't you say just a little bit longer? So the Dreamhouse version is more EDM kind of sounding, a little bit more island feel, which SM kind of went off and did like back in the 90s. And oh my God, I am so glad that fake ska patois thing in the beginning is
Oh,
gone.
yeah.
I hate that so much. And then the production, like, again, it just felt like Baha Men. I didn't like it. And it also, the background vocals in the original featured this random, like, woman, like, riffing in the back, like,
Yeah, yeah.
wow. Like, it's just giving karaoke singer. And that's why I'm so glad when you mentioned Hey Chan. So I started laughing because I was like, thank God they used him and not the sister. Well, that wasn't the sister, but she tried to sound like one. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, and it stayed very true to the original and the 90s pop hip hop fluences, which is like the New Jack Swing and then like the
Mhm.
orchestral hits definitely elevated it and made it feel like current, but also like a remake. I don't
Mhm.
know how to explain it, but I like that. My gusta a lot.
Yeah. Well, what did you think
You
of the
know,
visual?
they're so cute. I mean, as a group that did chewing gum, candy just makes sense,
Huh?
right? Now I will say that as they get older, it's gonna be kind of weird to see them as NCT Dream because Super Junior used to do Super Junior H, like Super Junior Happy, and they had like songs about slumber parties, and I did not appreciate that. But they've played up with these guys being like, I think they're their early 20s, right?
Yeah.
At this point, right? So they don't look too cute or too creepy. The yellow scene, the soundstage remind me of the soundstage they used for Kick It. So I feel like there was no like cleverness there. But the whole idea of the video was cute, like having them be like Lee Soo-mani in the candy factory, I guess, if I had to kind of give it like an idea. Because it was a computerized, almost like glitch mode computer making heart candies and
Mhm.
a lot of it was calling back to the 90s, like the arcade, even the transition said going to the 90s arcade with the
Yeah.
DDR. I think it was cute. And I like the fashion and the styling and the ode to the old video because in the old video they were trying to like not the word I want to say is not nice, but they were actually kind of like just doing the most to get the attention of a foreign girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, SM loves their random foreigners in the
They
videos.
do.
Like back in the day, y'all don't know.
And
It
in
was
concert
listen.
VCRs too.
Oh my God. Listen, y'all don't know we had to go through just as confusion. It was just a random white girl. Like, okay. No hate, just saying random ass white girl. Random ass white girl. All right. But and I also like the little like stylistic nods. Like not only were they wearing the baggy fits, but they also had band-aids, which is like a callback to like Nelly and Left Eye and
Mm.
the whole like, wearing the strikeout kind of thing or wearing the band-aid as like a interesting thing. No props, just 90s coolness, I guess, or 90s culture, so
Mhm.
I appreciated it. What about you? How do you feel about the video?
Yeah, well, so I think it's interesting that they counted this as the winter single, because really the song
Oh,
in itself is
yeah.
not a winter song. But yeah, they're
No.
counting it as a Christmas or winter song, I guess, a holiday song. But I wish, despite that they didn't make it so Christmassy in the music video, because I think that takes
Oh,
away the
yeah.
timeliness of it, right? Because now it's like
Mm.
this song is a K-pop classic and it's not tied to a holiday or a season, but then now they
Yeah.
made it so that it is. So I don't actually love that. I think it's an interesting choice that
Mhm.
they decided to do that. But I thought, yeah, I think the scenes are really good. Again, with SM, they always just do the absolute most with these videos, but I think it all actually made sense. Like all the digital heart projections and things were cute. There's a general
Mhm.
story throughout the thing. They did do the homage to the theme park, which I appreciated. So, and even in
Mhm.
the choreo as well, they did reference the original.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, the chorus is the same. Obviously, they do it much sharper than HOT did. But even other little references in the other choreo too, like Renjun, like scooting on the floor is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And like, yeah, I appreciated that. And the choreo is great. Like, like I said,
Mhm.
they did make it sharper and more difficult. But it's not
Yeah.
compared to the other NCT stuff, though. It's not difficult because it's just kind of a lot of
Oh, yeah.
classic '90s like street jazz kind of grooves throughout the whole thing with a lot of jumping and stuff. So it's
Mhm.
very true to the time, which I appreciate.
Mhm.
And
Right.
otherwise, just a lot of good moments for them to interact and just kind of just perform without having to worry about
Mhm.
doing the absolute most intricate, crazy choreo. So I appreciated it for, again, what it was. It'll be interesting to see how they treat this song moving forward, like whether they count it as kind of one of their big singles, if they're just like, that was a holiday Christmas single, like, whatever.
The Christmas number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're right now. Okay. Well, so how would you rate the song, Candy, and the video altogether? What would you give it?
I would give it an 8. How about you?
I'm actually gonna match you. For me, I just feel like it was a nice little break from the ads, if
Hmm.
you will. It was
Hmm.
nice.
All right, so moving on to NewJeans with Ditto, which is a pre-release single for the song OMG, which was released on January 2nd. And of course, we will include OMG in our recap for February. So when we release it in
Mhm.
February. So keep an eye out for that. But Ditto has become its own hit in its own right, and it was done by Yiva Dimberg, Cho Hyoi. Oh, how do you say that?
Huyin,
Okay.
Huyin.
There's also Woo Hyo, 250, and also Minji of NewJeans actually participated, which is awesome.
Look at her.
So we actually haven't talked about NewJeans on this show yet, but I know both of
No.
us have been obsessed with a lot of their
Yes.
singles. So I'm very happy that they're back already. Um, but yeah, what do you think of Ditto?
Okay, so I like the Ditto title because, like, when I was younger, I used to tell my family and friends Ditto when they said "I love you" or something like that. Like, literally, I got it from the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze, and every time he would tell, like, Demi, like, "I love you," they go, "Ditto." So it became my personality for years. Again, it's, like, really nice and cute to say other than, like, "Likewise" or "Me too," So, I think I like the title just right off the bat because it's their own personal connection, but just looking at it, it's not like long title, long name you have to guess, right? Because you don't know where the song's gonna go also as well with the Ditto thing.
Hmm.
But production-wise, taking away my nostalgia, the UK garage sound is making a resurgence, okay? And I mean some Western audiences are being introduced to it, like via Pink Panthers, or even like if you're a UK fan already, like you've already know you already know what the vibes were, or you already knew.
Yeah.
Um, or you listen to Craig David. I mean, honestly, I feel like our audience right now listening is like way too young. But if you want to get more into it, guys, definitely check out UK, anything. But I see K-pop fans doing their due diligence and it's so fun to see it. Like, oh, where's this influence coming from? So I appreciate that. And again, it's really interesting to hear 90s R&B, like 90s, 2000 R&B being interpreted through like Korean girls, like that are once removed from the generation. Like, it's
Mm.
so weird. They're like random foreign cousins, that really appreciate the music, or at least their creative director is. So again, it's interesting to see what an adult's interpretation or adult's like curation of young girls doing it and how cool it's become. Like sonically speaking, the song is cool in the sense of like the UK garage sound, like the drum machine kind of sound
Hmm.
to it and like the haunting ooze. I will say vocally speaking, not even to talk about the production, 'cause I'm pretty sure you will do that. They're not sangy singers. And I think that's what's refreshing about them. They aren't bad singers. They are approaching singing a little bit more with a quieter, whispery, kind of spoken tone, excuse me, and it's taken the West, especially here in America, by storm, like, for the past several years. I'm not talking about Billie Eilish either, like, she's an example of it, but there's a lot of even in R&B that kinda, "They sing like this and ooh, ooh, ooh," and it's not bad, it's just different. And in K-pop, it was complete opposite. K-pop was like, "Make it louder, make it brighter, make it higher, make it
Hmm.
beltier." And I guess it's lost its kind of like, again, novelty again, but I appreciate that now it's like less about the belting and more about addictive top lines and smoother mixes. So I think honestly it's good. And I feel like SM kind of dropped the ball with the Adore's CEO, now CEO, because whatever they weren't doing for her, Hybe is like, listen, whatever you want, girl, we'll give you the check for it. Like, because
Or she just took
it
the
sounds
initiative and was like, I can do my own thing. They
you
might not be that.
this is
Yeah.
true. This is true. I do wonder what happened with that, but it's interesting to hear, like, this kind of R&B sound that SM kind of did in the beginning,
Yeah.
now being taken over to one of the biggest companies in Korea. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It is very interesting because obviously there's the big FX connection. And if you've listened to our show at all, you
Mhm.
know we're both huge
Oh my
FX fans
gosh,
and they're
yeah.
forgotten within the world of Kwangya now. They do not have their own planet. but
Not at all.
if you go from like four walls and a lot of those songs to this, it's a very natural progression sonically, which is interesting. And yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
vocally they do execute it very well. I will say, maybe because they are still quite young, but there isn't much difference in their tones. Like, I cannot listen to their songs and know who's singing what, and I'm usually pretty good at that, I would say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it'll be interesting as they get older how their tones develop separately from each other. Because right now it
Mm.
is a little samey for me. But saying that, though, they do execute it very well. I think the song is cool because I think even in the production, you mentioned it being kind of dreamy and ethereal, but with that, there's
Mhm.
also an eeriness to it as well. Um, so it sounds hopeful and innocent in both production and the way they're singing it, but it's also kind of foreboding because there's that eeriness to it. It's almost like, oh, you're
Mhm.
so young, you don't know how love is, like how crazy relationships can
Yeah.
get, and you're thinking very innocently right now.
Uh,
And there's this weird kind of like
uh,
foreboding sound to it, which is really
yeah.
cool. And that adds so
Yeah.
many layers to the song.
Mm.
So yeah, I really appreciate it. I will say the first time I listened to it, I did think it was quite understated, but once you get the video and everything, it's like I have listened to it multiple times just today.
The video had a lot of, like, camera work with the girls, and it was interesting to kinda see a lot of the what is it? Like, version A and version B.
Yeah,
What did you
side A,
think
side B.
about the music video? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, thank you. What did you think about
Yes.
those?
Well, first off, props to I think it's Woo Suk Shin is the director, right? And I believe he's been doing a lot of their videos. But
Mm.
it is cool. And I've read so many different interpretations of what this video means. So I'm excited to hear what you think of it. But I'm a 90s kid, so obviously I'm from the days of the VHS. So kind of the whole idea of
Yeah.
transporting them back to the 90s and them being, in that time as school kids, and they use the
Mhm.
VHS filter very well. So it really does kind of just transport you away. It is like watching a mini film a little bit, which is really cool. It's not
Yeah.
just a music video. And then the two music videos, they're both seem to be told from the perspective of this sixth girl or classmate,
Mhm.
Hisu.
Mhm.
Um, but then it's, like, a little confusing what's going on. So, yeah.
Oh.
I will say before you
Yeah.
give your interpretation, though, there's also some great marketing because Bon Hisu actually has
Mm.
her own YouTube channel, and she's been uploading unedited clips from the video, like the raw footage of her,
Mm.
like, filming NewJeans in class and, all the stuff that was in the
Mhm.
video. So it's just and she's put up, like, dance practices and stuff as well. So yeah, just
Which is
amazing
crazy.
marketing. It's so good. So good. But yes,
Oh, yeah.
please go ahead.
Mm. Welcome to Shan's Corner, where we're gonna figure out what this video is about. So, I read some theories too.
Mm.
Um, but I think before I didn't read them as much. I won't say I'm not a reader. I like to read, but I stopped after a while. But I was like, I wonder what people think about it. It seems like everyone has the same kind of idea of like parasocial relationships for sure. I remember watching the video and thinking, "Oh God, I hope they don't introduce a sixth member." For whatever reason, that was my first thought.
Oh, interesting.
But then yeah, for whatever reason, my brain because at this point, K-pop is just unpredictable. You don't know what to expect. Like, ugh. So, aside from that, though, when I watched the video, the whole like not showing that girl's face was really interesting and only showing the guy. And the point of view and the way it was shot was very. I thought New Jeans were dead. I didn't think they were like the parasocial thing that I'm gonna get into. I thought they were dead ghosts, and she's just remembering her time with her friends. Like, oh, I remember when we used to play, whatever. Like she was injured. So I thought, oh my God, it was a car accident or something. I was thinking worst case scenario. But yeah, I think the whole theory about it all being parasocial was really interesting because you have this girl who is interacting with New Jeans, but they almost don't interact directly with her. Like, yeah, they see like they kind of do like the cute fun stuff and like when they're having fun, they acknowledge her. But the thing that really stood out to me and it made me realize like, oh, like they're not really actually there or like they're not providing to her what she really needs was when that boy was looking at her from like I think on one of the staircases
Mhm.
and she was like crying and they were trying to comfort her and then she ran away, and it kinda made me think like, "Oh, wow," like, a lot of us get lost in K-pop like that, right? Where it's like, "K-pop saved my life. K-pop did this. K-pop did that," when it's like, no, K-pop is like an escape, not a remedy, and I think that's what, what's it, Hiso?
Yeah,
Hiso, the
Bon
girl's name?
Hisu.
But yeah, Hisu, I think she represents fans as in general, um, being so tied up in, you're my happiness," when K-pop fans are not our friends. This whole time she's a voyeur into their world, into their life, and they made her happy, not the other way around.
Mhm.
And I appreciated that. And it's like when she finally put the camera down and actually connected with the guy, it was like, okay, there's reality. And then maybe when she came back and she looked at the VCR, she could remember the time that she had, much like how you and I do it. Like we watch DVDs or we watch YouTube videos. Like we know we like Shiny, but we know we're not part of the group. We know that we'll never be friends with these men and women, but a lot of young fans don't have that. And I
Mhm.
appreciate that New Jeans did that. again, very much like FX would have done something like this, I feel like. You
Yeah.
know? But yeah, totally appreciate it.
Yeah, I think the most poignant thing for me was, you see them sign her cast, but then
Mhm.
they actually didn't, you know? So it is that
Yeah.
whole thing. It's like you dream that these idols are giving you this attention and love, but really
Mhm.
they aren't. But by
Nope.
showing her kind of
Mm.
older at the end and reflecting back and watching these old videos of NewJeans, it was kind of like, okay,
Mhm.
like they were a really important part of my life and I can enjoy
Yes.
what they gave to me. And so it's kind of very interesting because you're right. It's very similar to our relationship with music now as well. And it's
Yeah.
like I can go
Yeah.
back and enjoy all this stuff, but like I don't feel
Right.
any like relationship further than that with them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, which is interesting because, oh boy, no offense to fans, but full offense, y'all get a little obsessive and it's uncomfortable. Even me, like as a singer, like there are some fans of mine that will reach out to me and you almost feel guilty for not responding. But I'm like, I can't
Hmm.
respond to everyone. Like I appreciate your support so much. So, but I hope this doesn't sour our relationship, you know?
Hmm.
But it's hard to create a relationship with someone you don't know
Hmm.
and that listens to you. You know, so again, it's interesting. So I'm happy that they did it. But again, I think it might go over a lot of people's heads because like, oh God, the girl's just so pretty. And they don't care, you know. We've been to the shows. But speaking of shows as well, they would definitely benefit from a live band. Um, their It's Live was fire.
Mm.
It reminded me of like MTV Unplugged. Did you like it?
I did. I liked that they interpreted it a little more jazzy, a little bit more of a ballad. Again, I will
Mhm.
say just their voices just sound so similar, and then there's no
Yeah.
unison singing at all, so I feel like that takes away from it as for
Yeah.
them as a
Yeah.
group. But I'm
Yeah.
very excited for them to eventually, like, tour and stuff. Very curious because 'cause they're great performers.
Yes.
Yeah, what'd you think of the choreo?
Mm, okay, it wasn't bad, right? My thing with me is, like, I feel like it's a little off, right? Especially with that arm roll. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
bling, bling, dun, dun, dun. It's just a little off. Yeah. For me, it just feels like not everything has to be, like, swaggy and groovy and hard hitting. Like, I wonder what would have happened if they would have incorporated a little bit more house-esque choreo as opposed to, like, trendy TikTok moves. Because a lot of TikTok moves that are in there that are, like, really cute, like, that's fun." But if I think about how it sounds and what I've seen done with it and how awesome more footwork, and not just like the kicking and the swing and the hit and the pops. I really would wonder what would have happened if they had a little stop, pivot, kick, a little bit of
Mhm.
or something else other than trendy. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just for me, like even right here, it was just for the sake of for what? I don't know what that was for. The little winding arm thing. It's not
Mm.
bad. It's cute. I just wonder what would have happened if they push the edge, to push the edge, push the limit of what they can actually do choreography speaking. Because it looks just much like Attention and Hype Boy in that sense. Like I get they have a certain dance style, but switch it up a little bit, especially with that chorus. That's just my opinion though.
Yeah. I didn't actually mind the choreo itself. My issue was more
Mhm.
so just the musicality of it because the song
The
is a pretty
musicality.
chill
Mhm.
song. And so them doing this full the F out grooving thing for the entire song is a little
That's what I
much.
mean.
Like, first off, also good luck
Yeah.
trying to sing this live with that choreo. It's impossible. But honestly, I think the most effective parts, even though, yes, some parts look really great and they're super clean, but it just in terms of musicality,
Mhm.
it's more the little bits where they got to
Yeah.
interact with each other. And I think I said the same thing about Hype Boy as well. They have little moments
Yeah.
where they look at each other and interact with each other. There's one part where they're in like the inverted V, and all they're doing is just like
Mhm.
a little hip hit kind of
Yeah.
and clapping with each other. It just looks
Yeah.
fun. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. Like this is a little
Right.
crazy. It does look really fun. Like I would
Yeah.
love to learn it, but in terms of
Yeah.
musicality, it's a lot. A little more than it
That's what
needs
it
to be.
is.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Even my hat
And
fell off.
then, yeah, they're not singing it that way. So, yeah, the musicality just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. It feels like it is just like, we need to do something super energetic and super impressive so that people, will watch it. But this
Mhm.
song didn't necessarily need that. Yeah.
But yes, all that being said, though,
Mm.
I would give this song a good solid 9, which is annoying because it's like, I don't wanna give it that high. 'Cause I'm like, "Is this being unfair?" But it's a 9. It's a 9 worthy song.
It is definitely, you know what? I'm going to go a little higher and go 9.5 because it has grown on me a lot just in the past couple days.
Uh-huh.
It'll probably
Uh-huh.
be in my top 2023 list of songs, and
Oh my
it's only been
god.
a couple days, so.
Oh my god. Song number 3 is Vernon with Black Eye, not to be mistaken with Black Eye, as I've been calling it. So the song was the third track from the 17-member Vernon, and it's done by Hong Hoon Ki, Way of Prison Filter, and Rob Roy and Vernon. Okay, so here we are with the pop punk all English track from Vernon. I mean, Vernon not rapping is good, I guess. You know, just kind of show a little bit more range. And I get that the song was meant to cause like a pathos or pathos, however you want to pronounce it, the pathos of loneliness and isolation. But I don't really feel that emotionally connected to the track, you know? It didn't do it for me. And lyrically speaking, it was a little bit all over the place in terms of like avoidant attachment was like, I don't want you, but I want love. But I might burn you. Stay away from me. I don't know. It's just really weird. Like it just felt a little bit like quote farmed, where it was like, I'm a dumpster fire. I don't want to burn you, but don't turn away from me with your light. It's just weird. And I hate the lyric, put a muzzle on me and I'll spit in your mouth. I guess. I guess. I just that one threw me.
Okay, so first off,
like,
I will say I'm a fan of Vernon. I think he
okay.
is one of the more charismatic members of 17. I think maybe vocally he's not like my favorite or really the most talented, but I think he does bring something special to that group. That being said, I also was a little unimpressed by this song. I think first off, he did say that it was actually inspired by a friend of his and Rob Roy's.
No.
And so I think that already, the fact that this has nothing to do with his own feelings and own experience, and he was kind of just inspired by someone else's experience, that's why I think maybe lyrically it felt a little forced. His vocal, he has a very naturally kind of thick and husky voice, so this sound makes sense for him. Like he could easily cover like a Machine Gun Kelly song well, like it makes sense that he can hold up to kind of the noisiness of a pop punk sound. But I do not like whatever tuning or processing they did to his voice. I don't think he's the most emotive or passionate singer anyway. And having all that processing on it made it even less so. It made it even more robotic because I think with a lot of these pop punk songs, like I love pop punk, right? Like I was a big like Avril fan, Blink-182, like I'm into all that, right?
Spotify.
But the thing, listening to those, they actually do, if you really listen to their vocal production of it and how they sing it, every word, they do put certain textures into it. Like they really try to emote very well. It's not just yelling, right? And I think in this case, like there are no stylistic choices with different breaks and cracks or textures in his execution of it. So it's all just a bit one note across the whole thing. So that's why I think it's just okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, same. I agree. I think, like you said, aside from like our own personal taste involved, I feel like the song, it sounds decent. It's not terrible. It sounds trendy. Like you said, it's lacking the emotions. It's more angsty in concept than vocally speaking and lyrically speaking. Like it's just, and I think maybe him going for a more emo rap approach would have been a little bit more interesting. Like something like a Juice World meets MGK or the Kid Leroy type stuff. I mean,
yes.
No offense to those guys. Like I feel like MGK is doing a little bit of the texture thing, and the Kid Leroy is gonna Juice World. That whole I'm not into the genre because I don't really care for it, but it would have just made more sense in terms of him being able to rap and switch back and forth to add a little bit more dynamism. Our favorite word to struggle around. To the song for sure. But for all intents and purposes, I do believe that the song fits the taste of like the fans and like maybe younger fans. Like this is trendy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. What do you think of the visual?
It's okay. It's okay. I will say this before I like throw out like a bunch of like roasts. I'll give some toasts. Toast and roast session here. The night scenes are nice. I like that. I like his eyes, how bright they look he looks like you find like a possum in the nighttime. That's what it looks like.
Yes.
I like the soul spotlight scenes on the compound. That was cool. The fur coat looking in the burning hole and him singing in the fencing. I like those two. But him just sitting in the chair looking kind of pretty, I don't like because my thing is if you're gonna go for rock star, like give me cliche like trashing the room or maybe cell phones in your face while you're sitting in the chair. All you want to be is a human, treated as a human. Like for you to sit there and be like you crave someone real, but you want to be alone unless you get that. I'm just getting you're just alone, and then you're singing in the chair, and he's already really pretty. Like he's not a bad looking guy. I call everyone pretty when they're good looking. before you guys
Oh no,
come for me
he's
again.
very pretty.
But yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty. Listen, he's a handsome young man, but he's almost too pretty for what he's singing about and what the song and the genre calls for. Like, I no offense, but I was not getting pretty until I saw Brendan Urie, and then even then I was like, "Yeah, he's cute." You know what I'm saying? Like, when I think pop punk, I think a little bit more like angstier. I think not even just black clothes. It's just the fur coat. He just looked like a star. He looked very glamorous. Again, but the fence, I like him looking in the burning hole, him smashing things. Give me more of that. Like the teasers had more angst and troubled rock star than the video.
Mm.
Like in the teasers, he's screaming, he's on the floor, he's writhing about, and it felt a little bit more real for me. But in the video, it just looks a little like almost a little too good. But again,
Okay,
you know,
well, I will say, I mean, he can't help that he's pretty. So,
but him sitting there
um,
halfway smiling, like black guy. That doesn't no.
yeah, so he would maybe too much smizing. I don't know. Okay, I actually think he performed the
Mhm.
song in the video better than he does vocally. Like, it was more
Oh,
convincing
yeah.
visually than it was me just
Yeah.
listening to it. Like, I think he did embody it well. I think he's a very charismatic performer in general anyway. And so I think
Mhm.
visually, physically, he did really kind of
Mhm.
put himself in this place of this person feeling this loneliness. And
Yeah.
I felt it more watching it than I do just listening to it. So I actually think he did a good job. And yeah, I never really thought he was too pretty at all in it. I think the styling and stuff fits with kind of just like the whole glam rock thing, and I was okay with that.
That's why I think glam rock and pop punk are not the same. That's
Yeah, but
just
it's K-pop, you know? I don't
I
know.
know,
I
but
didn't really
again,
question it, but I get it. I get it. Okay, yeah, but
I
for
like when
me,
my
it's
pretty
like
boys look
whatever.
gritty. I like when my pretty boys look gritty. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, if you're as pretty as he is, he could have gone. He could have did some. They could have took some more risks. That's what I'm saying. He's so pretty. They could have took a more risks.
Mm. Yeah, so we do have a live band performance that they uploaded to the
Mhm.
official 17 YouTube channel. But I really don't get the point of it because the vocals still processed to hell. And it's clearly, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, what's the point? It's a music video with like a green screen and like there's still a lot going on. So it's basically just a version B, it's just another music video.
And he's smiling the whole time, right?
Yeah, and then
Oh
vocally
God.
also, you do get a little more texture actually. Like he goes into his
Mhm.
mix sometimes instead of belting the whole
Mhm.
thing. So there was a little bit more interestingness in the vocal. I guess because he
Okay.
was singing it live, they just processed it to hell afterwards. But I don't get the point of it. So sure, more content for them, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, well, I mean, Vernon, he's not a bad performer and he's not a bad artist, and the song is not bad. But I feel like I was expecting more, especially for as long as he's been in the game. I'm just saying. Like,
Yeah.
that's my opinion. So my rating will reflect that. I still love me some Vernon. Okay, I love me some Vernon. Okay. Um, young Leonardo DiCaprio. He's definitely grown out of that. Thank goodness for him. His face has like
Yeah.
he's man. Okay, anyway, point is, I'm gonna give this 7.
Okay, actually,
7.
I actually expected a lower score from you based on your
No,
comments.
no, 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 no,
I
no, no,
agree.
no, no,
I
no,
will
no.
give it a 7 as well. I don't think it's a bad song. It's just kind of middle
Yeah,
of the road. Moving on to WayV with Phantom. WayV is finally back
finally.
without Lucas, which I know is a lot of drama, which we can talk about later on. So though the song is actually in Chinese, WayV is part of the NCT world, which is under the Korean label SM Entertainment. So yes, we're counting them as K-pop, I guess, in this case,
Oh,
for
yeah.
this It Boppin
We
episode.
have to.
And this one was done by Pan Yan Ting, Jin by Jin, Karen Poole, Sandri, Farida, and Adrian McKinnon. So yeah, we've been waiting a while for a WayV comeback. I think people weren't sure if they were going to wait for Lucas, right, to come back. And also Win was also like in China for ages as well. But
Oh my god, yes.
they decided to continue. I will say before I
Mhm.
get into this track though, they did release another video for Diamonds Only, which is another track on the album. And I think that would have been a
Oh,
better
yeah.
choice for the title track because this feels
Oh.
like the Phantom. Phantom feels like a rejected Vix copy song. And I know that's a little
That's
harsh,
not
but it's
nice.
this whole kind of like
Mhm.
dark kind of I don't know. You know what VIX used to do, right? Like the VIX's
Yeah,
thing is
yeah.
like this dark, like
Gothic.
zombie gothic. Yeah, gothic is the right word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole
Yeah.
concept is like VIX's thing. And this
Mm-hmm.
feels just a little dated in concept. And yeah, the song is just I don't know. I'm not that inspired by it, to be honest. But for what it is, though, I like the dynamics within it. Like I like the low, breathy vocals in the verses. Like all the members handle that well, and I think the chorus melody is nice. And there is unison singing, which is nice. But then there's something interesting about the mix of it because it doesn't sound very powerful in the way that it's mixed. I don't know. I have a lot of questions about this. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little just confused by the track. What do you think?
You know what's funny? I actually heard old too. I heard older.
Yeah.
It sounds like, for me, it sounds like old EXO. Like it could have been something that came right after Mama, like right after. So that's too. That's okay, y'all who don't know who EXO is, or think EXO is too old. That was 2012. Wait, hang on, that's like 10 years ago. Wait. Oh my God, that is old actually. Hang on. It's crazy because then BTS came right after. What? Yo. I'm not gonna reveal my age, but I was quite young when EXO came out.
2012 was also when VIX was starting to make their peak as well.
That's, oh my God. What? Oof. Jeez. Okay.
Right?
Here we are.
No. VIX was that's when they debuted, I think. So it took them another year. But yeah.
You took them get into that whole like gothic, not the gothic where people think like, like old century, like gothic, like the font. I mean, like the old English. Anywho, the little. Yeah. So I like the low grumble kind of speaky thingies because they gave the rappers an opportunity to not just like yo shawty, but because they always do that. Oh my God, they always do that in like SM songs, especially they love shawty. Okay, if you don't believe me, listen to Super Junior and Shining. Okay. But yeah, they're interesting. They're interesting to hear, but like melodically, they aren't outstanding. And I think I hear Mama, right? But where it doesn't meet the EXO standard is the pullback in the mix, the standout chorus. I will say I like the kicking drum, that dun, right in the middle of the I can't even say it, of the chorus. For whatever reason, it does something to me, and I think that's what they meant to do. Like it kicks the song up a notch a little bit, but not enough. Like it builds tension, but then after that, the song kind of just falls a little bit flat, and that's why it doesn't feel like EXO. That's why it doesn't feel like current SM. That's why it doesn't feel like wow, that Diamond song, because at least it went somewhere, right? But this one kind of just stayed in like mid-tempo land. But yeah, I like the falsettos. And I will say that I think they may have recorded it as a group, but they may have pushed like one member specifically their vocal forward. Like maybe it was 10 singing it because it wasn't Xiaojun's voice that I heard in the chorus.
In the chorus?
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was both of them, but it was definitely 10's pushed forward. But they only, even in the choreography, it highlighted one member at a time, which was either 10 or Xiaojun in the middle. I'm not complaining because they both killed it. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they didn't do hip hop because concept pop in K-pop is one of my favorite things about K-pop. It's not just like, well, here's a trendy sound. Let's make a song about love. It was like, that's what made Vic so good. Like you said, they had that concept going and it's like, oh my God, what other creepy crap can they do? There's so much voodoo, possession, space. There's so many things you can do. So I appreciate the fact that they did it. They made like a concept track because SM used to be king of the concept. Okay?
Yeah.
Can I get a hoot for hoot? So yeah, I think the usage of classical music in this song definitely made the transition into the dramatic bridge so much cleaner. I love that part. And there's like a slight guitar in the last chorus, which I think is really cool. They don't really play with it much, but it's there. But I think this song, because it is sounding a little bit older, I feel like a little bit like mildly attached to it. But also I appreciate how simple it is. And to find that middle ground of like cool new sounds and like old nostalgia is tough. And I feel like they kind of were just shy of it, honestly.
Yeah.
And the video didn't lend any
No, because
assistance,
the video feels dated as well. And I don't know. I think the issue is like I love concepts as well. I also love that in K-pop. That's why I was such a big
Yeah.
VIX fan as well. But and yeah, I like this kind of gothic kind of Phantom of the Opera situation. But I think that concept is kind of overdone a little bit, you know. A lot of groups have attempted this kind of Victorian kind of thing before. And all the scenes just feel a little cliche, right? You have like the haunted mansion, you have like the dungeon with that ship thing that looks literally like a set from Phantom of the Opera. Um, I did
The
enjoy like the
candelabras.
back and forth of the main hall, like kind of being like lit up versus like the white cloths kind of all
Yeah.
over it. I did enjoy that. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it just feels really just not very inspired. I will say we said in the past, I feel like WayV had been forced previously to kind of be the sexy unit of NCT, which they never really
Yeah.
fully embodied. So this one does feel a little more natural than that. So I appreciate that. And like I'm not taking away from the guys because they're very good performers and they look really, really
Mhm.
good. And I think they did what they
Mhm.
could with this. I just
Oh,
think
yeah.
as a concept, the video is just a little, yeah, boring.
Yeah, honestly, it is an amalgamation of concepts. Like, I saw the Game of Thrones which bothered me. I'm like, "Okay, I get it, but
Yeah,
no, that doesn't make any sense."
yeah.
That bothered me. I was like, "It's a little too that's the wrong century, baby. That's the wrong century. You talk about plague and dysentery and combining it with Phantom of the Opera. Sure, okay." But yeah, this is a little random. I do like the possession and, like, some of the effects, like the green eyes and whatnot. Like, they definitely stayed true to the concept, like, of phantoms with the candelabras, and I do like the little featuring of, like, the Black Panthering. At first, I was like, "What the hell's going on?" But if you think about it, it's like cursed princes, and instead of, like, Beauty and the Beast and making them wear prosthetics, it's like the beast is like a spirit that's controlling them. That's why Henry is sitting there with his dead fish face, staring at the camera, no expression. And then the panther appears. 'Cause again, it gives back to the whole, French concept that the Phantom of the Opera kind of goes around and the Beauty and the Beast kinda goes around, even though it's also German. It's just weird. I will say, like, the sword and the heart, like I said, amalgamation, the sword and the heart, the red moon turning yellow, it just the broken curse, you know? Again, I get it, but it doesn't mean I have to, like, take it. You feel me? Like, that's
Yeah,
what's
yeah, yeah.
happening here. So so back to what we were saying about, like, the talents in the group. My favorite of the group, I'm just gonna be very obvious, it's Yang Yang or Yang Yang, excuse me, Yang Yang, Ten, and Xiaojun, okay? Without a doubt, they add, like, the edgy kinda, like, smolder I mean, even in the performances, you see, like, Yang Yang, like, lift his eyebrow. I can't do it as well because my
Mhm.
eyebrows are straight and flat. But this man completely disconnects his face to
Yep,
make
no
it I'm like,
Botox
"Ooh,
in that
snap."
eye in that forehead.
Damn right. He said, "Baby, it's natural." Alright? And I think, honestly, I could hear Lucas in certain, like, low parts, and
Who?
maybe I
Who's
wonder
that?
I'm crying. He
Okay, so I agree with you. 10 is such a good performer. Like he is just so great
Mhm.
to watch. It's very hard not to watch him whenever he's on
Yeah,
stage because he just the way he
yeah.
dances, he finishes every move and fully
Yes.
extends everything and every single body part. There's intention behind everything he does, and oh, he's so clean. And Xiao Jun is for sure my bias in this. I've said in the past, I very rarely have biases in especially the newer groups,
Yeah.
but he is so good. His voice is one of the best in NCT as a whole, in SM
Uh,
as a whole, and he is a really
yes.
expressive face. So he always has great facials as well. It always
Mhm.
feels just very
Yeah.
super authentic and that he's like it's not too forced. So yeah,
Yeah.
they're both great. Choreography wise, well, first off, actually, I was watching all the comeback
Ooh,
performances, and they did actually perform an English version of Phantom also, which I was
which
like,
is
oh, that's interesting
weird.
because there's no Korean version. So they performed the Chinese version and the English version on the Korean music show. So I find that
Mhm.
interesting. But
Yeah.
choreography wise, I do appreciate it's not as on the nose as a lot of the Vic stuff used to be. Yes, there are references to claws and stuff and like,
Mhm.
hauntings and things, but nothing too generic, so I appreciated that. I really liked
Yeah.
the little low monster steps that they do where they bend over and they're doing like the Frankenstein walk. I thought that was very dynamic and just was a great visual, and they use that quite a lot throughout the
Yes.
choreo. But yeah, I thought it
Yes.
was effective, and like we said, they're all really good performers, and
Mhm.
yeah, I think they're a really strong unit in NCT, and they're underrated. So
Right.
I'm glad they get to finally come back.
No, I agree with you. I think, again, we have said it before in our ultimate NCT pop-off. We both think that NCT no, the WayV unit is probably the best set of dancers, like, we both think that, and they always come, like, 100%, like, literally, when I think of dancing with NCT, I think of them. Like, there are members and groups of NCT that I
Mhm.
like, but as a whole, you've seen them live, I've seen them live, they're not always together.
Yeah.
You can't say that to WayV. You can't say that to them. Not at all,
Especially
and I
now that they've
appreciate that.
lost their worst dancer.
Oh, Jesus Christ, have mercy. It's true. It's true. It's true,
He
though.
may come back. I don't know. We don't know.
We don't know that part, but it's true, though. I mean, when you lose the weak link, the chain becomes quite strong. But yeah, we're gonna move on to ratings because we could go
Yeah.
on for days.
Uh-huh.
But yes, what do you think about Phantom? What kind of score do you give?
Okay, I will give it a 7.5. I think it was the wrong choice for a title track, but I'm glad they're back. What about you?
It's different from their other stuff. It's not like my favorite from them, so I'm gonna match you. I'll give it a 7.5. I don't like the reason you gave it a 7.5, but I'll match you.
Okay, side note though, I would actually like to talk about Lucas, just a
Yeah.
slight tangent, because we're a timely podcast here. We do have the new teaser for SuperM. We know SuperM's coming back.
Yeah.
We know Baekhyun and Taemin are finishing their military service in the first part of 2023 as well. Kai will have a lull before he then has to go to the military. But in the teaser, there are 7 lights that are shown. So one question is Lucas's kind of comeback going to be first in SuperM before he returns to NCT? So that's question number 1.
Whoa.
If
Okay.
not, though, are they going to replace him? Because there are still 7 lights. And a lot of people have noticed that there is a red light in the teaser, and red is TVXQ. So, well, maybe Changmin instead. But vocally, though, Changmin doesn't really make sense to replace
No.
Lucas.
So maybe Yunho?
I guess he
Yeah,
would,
maybe.
he maybe. But then had his
He
own, controversies as well. Changmin's a safer choice.
This is very true. Okay, Max, come on in. Shoot, step on in.
Yeah. But then it's also like,
Yes.
would they want, I mean, I guess Boa's in Girls on Top, so it's not a huge thing to have like
True.
an older kind of member. But I
Yeah.
know vocally for me, and they've been pushing Jeno a lot. Like he was in so much of the SM Winter album.
Please.
He vocally,
Yes.
he would make
This is
sense to
true.
replace Lucas just in terms of dynamics. So I
Yeah.
could see him being pushed in as well. But then the red light doesn't make sense. So I don't know.
Interesting. I mean, you know how I feel about Jeno. I didn't talk about him at all in our Candy review, but I should have. He looks so good. But I'm trying to do this thing where I don't talk about how good they look. I'm working on it. See, I did so good up until you said his name, right? I did so damn good, right?
Mhm.
Oh, Xiaojun too. Xiaojun was my break. Xiaojun.
All right. So anyway, let us know what you guys think. What's going to happen with SuperM? Let us know in the comments or hit us up at CCTV Pops.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to our Is It Boppin'?
All right, up next is HALAZIA by ATEEZ.
Is that how you say it?
HALAZIA.
Not HALAZIA, because I think I used to read it as HALAZIA. And my friend was like, it's not tilapia. Like, it's HALAZIA.
You make things so, fanciful. I respect that. He said HALAZIA. You never had HALAZIA? Well, HALAZIA was actually done by Eden, Olander, Maddox, Pepperoni, terrible name, Olive, Buddy, Lee's, Neko, and Hongjun and Ningi of ATEEZ. I'm joking, Pepperoni. I think it's adorable. But yes, this song is, ooh, you know what? I like this song. I'm gonna say right off the bat, I like the song. And here's why I like the song. Because it's another anthem to their causes. Okay, it's another anthem. That, and I saw Hala, and I was like, oh yeah, their song Hala Hala. Hala Hala Hala. I'm not singing the song properly. But Hala Hala has turned into HALAZIA. So a chant, a war cry has become like this summoning spell, because that's what it sounds like, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, if you will. And even the production itself feels ceremonial in nature. Like there's organs and bell tolls in the beginning, and HALAZIA comes in like a chant. Not like Gregorian in nature, I won't say that, but I feel like they're trying to summon the light. Like they talk about bringing the light. Like the song is about, rage against the machine, and I like that. And it's very interesting to hear those sonic cues, if you will, to make you think of, preparing for battle or preparing for some type of ceremony. I appreciate that. And I think when the EDM comes in, it definitely switches everything up nicely, the way I wanted Phantom to kind of get kicked up. Like if the future bass kicks the song into a whole nother gear, and I'm like, I like it. And even at the end, it's just like energy just keeps building. The line distribution is really good. I think that's what sets them apart from a lot of like quote unquote noise making groups. Even when I first started listening to them, I'm not a huge fan where I know all the theory. but I know when they come out with a song, I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh yeah, except for that one cluster duck song that we don't like that we reviewed for Is It Boppin. We
Oh,
did not like that. Can't remember the
yeah.
name right now.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I'm here for the Pirate Kings. Let's get it.
Yeah, we
Let's
were
get
talking
it.
about a concept, like, ATEEZ knows how to do a concept, and keep it fresh,
Yeah.
and yeah, they have really grown on me. If you had asked me a year ago how I felt about ATEEZ, I would have really no thoughts at all, but after seeing them live and through just watching them grow just in this past year, it's been interesting
Mm,
because, um, I think for them, performance has always been the number one priority, and I think it still is, and I think that's what makes them so great to watch live and
mhm.
why they got so many fans. But I feel like, you mentioned the kind of noisy thing, and I know a lot of K-pop fans find that word kind of really annoying. But I think now, if you compare this song to kind of the older stuff, it's definitely more melodic. They really wanted it
Mm,
to be something that you could just listen to, it's not just about what
yeah.
can make a great stage performance. This one is actually, yeah, it's very melodic and it has really beautiful moments in it. So I really
Mhm.
appreciate that in this. It is a very intense song and it's really driven by the percussion. Um,
Yeah.
which I also think is cool, but again, not in a way where it overtakes the melody. So I think that, yeah, the whole thing is really well done. And I like how the chorus is that kind of two-parter. You get that really understated repeat of the halazia, but
Mhm.
then you get the powerful belty
Mhm.
moment, which of course makes sense for them as well. So just a really, really
Mhm.
good dynamic throughout the entire song that's really driven by their vocal tones and the different dynamics between the members as well, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. Like they've really now learned kind of who sits where and how they can use
Oh,
everyone.
yeah.
Yeah, the outro is so good. It does go into kind of this dubsteppy thing, which,
Mhm.
lends itself well to a great dance moment. But,
Yeah.
the chanting is minimal and it just all feels like a very natural build to the song and it's a very satisfying end. So I'm
Yes.
very, very impressed by this for sure.
Oh, yeah, totally, totally. And, I think the video is also one of those I mean, at this point, we're not really surprised with K-pop being like, "Oh, yeah, the production value of the video, blah, blah, blah." You know what I think hang on real quick. When I think of these high budget videos, I just think of, like, TLC and the groups from the '90s, how all that crap was, like, recoupable. Like, you had to, like, give the money back because they spent so much money on the videos. I really do wonder how that works. Like, these videos are such high production with the CGI and the set design, like, are your faves making money?
Yeah,
Because
well,
I'm a
so
huge investor.
so let us know if you guys would be interested. But I know the whole thing with Chu and Luna and her whole contract situation, and now they're making a new law about it in Korea as well.
Oh,
So if you guys would like us to dive into record contracts and things, both of us do have experience in that professionally. So yeah, if you want us
yes.
to do a video about that, we definitely can. Because yeah, I would guess actually that yes, they would still have to be at least partially responsible for recouping the video and other marketing costs, but
Mhm.
ATEEZ is successful enough that they probably do that. So,
Darn right, and this video definitely, shows that even some of the stage performances, like, I saw fire on one of
mm,
the stages. Was it, I forgot which stage, but
yeah,
also,
it's
oh,
one of
the
the Gaio Daejuns, right? Yeah.
yeah, when you can afford real fire, that's a liability. Like, you know how much that costs in insurance? You know how much that costs? It's not just pew, 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 it's different. It costs more money than pew, pew, you know? Speaking of HALAZIA is again, the video is interesting. Like I said, this is their calling, this is their PSA. We get the speaker in the beginning, and the video actually features like a scarecrow, almost emaciated version of their hala hala costume,
Yes.
and like Young picks it up, it's burning, it's on fire. One of the members has chains and he's dragging the chains. Like it was very uh it wasn't like cult summoning. It was like there was a sect of people in this post-apocalyptic world who decided to fight back. Like there's a sector of resistance and they're building to strike back. And at the end they pull like this huge orb of darkness down with the same chain that was being dragged over. They sacrifice essentially that hala hala for a better version of what they're presenting. Like, choreography was just really awesome, and I love that hole at the bottom. It goes back to the whole, "We're a resistance. We will come back to the surface and win." Like, it's just I just read the Shatter Me series, audiobook-wise, just a
Mhm.
slight plug, Audible, if you wanna sponsor us, come through. I listened to the Shatter Me series, and, like, my mind is on, "Fight back!" And the song I could totally hear at not just like at like Coachella. That's another thing too. K-pop songs, a lot of these noise songs, a lot of these EDM songs would do so well with like a funk remix, like PHONK like remixes or like EDM remix. This would do great at festivals, okay? And I don't know why they're not playing the festivals. This is crazy. Just anyway, this song just feels so powerful and moving. The video does the same thing, and I'm like, this is a movie. It's
Yep.
a freaking movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I
You
said,
know?
they know how to do a concept for sure, and they do the dark thing really well. Like they've
Oh,
developed, they always have
and
really intense makeup, and that lends itself well to these very intense facial expressions as well. You know, they just kind of handle that very well.
yes,
I will
yes.
say Woo Young killed it in that dance break. I think, you know, it's
Mhm.
hard being in a group with Sun, who's like one of the best
Oh my god,
dancers in
yeah,
K-pop right now, and he's also just very visually
yeah.
memorable and very striking. Um,
Yes,
but
he is.
I think they've
Agreed.
all had to pull up, which is awesome. Like they all as
Mhm.
performers, they are holding their own. So that's just been really awesome to see as they've grown as well. Um,
Yeah.
and I love that they use the background dancers very minimally,
Yeah.
actually, in the at least in the in that performance that I watched. Um,
Mhm.
like they're more just there for pictures and just to kind of build and kind of just complement the group.
Mhm.
The group is very much
Yeah.
the forefront. And they don't actually need the background dancers. They're just there to complement. So I appreciate that because
Yes.
sometimes when they get a lot of you know, when these groups get a lot of background dancers, they kind of just fully take over, and it's like
It's like,
which one is a
why?
member, you know? Yeah.
Right.
And there is that creepy ending. You know, ATEEZ has been great with the lore, so I assume this is like
Oh
leading
god.
into whatever the next kind of larger concept is, or at least the next
Yeah.
video or something. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome. Very impressed.
Just
Yeah. All right.
just
So,
let
what
me
would you
be.
rate this song?
I'm gonna give it a 9.
Okay, I will also give it a 9. This is up there, and it's one of my favorite ATEEZ songs, I think.
Yeah, me too. So I'm like, oh, should I give it a 10? Ooh, it's gonna be hard to top this one, boys.
Maybe. Yeah.
So, what do you all think of these songs? Let us know which upcoming K-pop releases you'd like to see featured next month. You can also comment below or message us at CCTV Pops on social media. And you can also join us on Patreon and help us decide what to cover in future episodes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for our channel. And if you're enjoying the show, give us a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, that's Chris,
That's Shan.
signing off from CCTV, the non-stop pop show.
Hey.